Good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to call to order the special meeting of council. Is there any declaration of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof? Seeing none. So this afternoon's meeting is our budget workshop. So we're taking a review of of our budget for the 2021 year. And I think what I will do now is I will turn this over to our CAO to go through the budget. Sherry.
Thank you, Mayor Reinwald. I'd like to start, if we could, with the fire chief and review his budget first, and then move on to public works. And then we'll go over the entire budget, if that's okay with council.
Yep, that's fine. So
Turn to page 6, and I'll let the fire chief go through what his wish list is, and then we can go through line by line for that item.
Okay, thank you. Chief Whiteau.
Okay, what we're looking at this year, new doors at the Point Alexander Fire Hall. I'll just go through them all and just ask questions. Some electrical put in down at the Chalk River training area. Cement work done at the Chalk River training area. And then just the other items are regular items that we do every year, like pagers, radios, and things like that.
Okay, anybody have any questions? So it's fairly basic this year. There's nothing that's really outstanding other than the few maintenance jobs that you're talking about and the routine. Okay, thank you. Anybody have anything else? Okay, thank you very much, Kevin. Sorry, Chief.
So if we want to review that department's budget.
Yes, please.
So if you, we're still on page 6. If you look at your top items, that is salary, honorarium, fire call, and WSIB. Those are fixed costs that are in the budget every year. The fire chief has a little amount put in there for office supplies this year. We do have a little bit of money for meals if they're out at a fire. Utilities are up significantly this year, and that is because of carbon tax that has been added. And you'll find in all the other departments, carbon tax is costing us between 17 and 19%.
Wow.
Typically, we budgeted 5% in previous years. So those facilities that have propane, diesel, and gas will be higher this year.
Okay.
Communications is in line with previous year's spending, as is prevention. Training materials is up a little bit, but the fire chief will be spending that in his budget. Memberships are the same. Health and safety is the same as in previous years. Our insurance is a fixed cost. It's up slightly. Licenses are the same as last year's. We have vehicle operations, repairs, equipment, and of course, the fire chief had informed you earlier in a meeting that he needs the doors replaced here in Point Alexander, and that is an $18,000 expenditure. That is part of his budget. He's going to be finishing the training area in Chalk River, and this year when we review our revenues, you'll see that he is receiving a COVID funding of $5,300 from the Office of the Fire Marshal and Emergency Management, and that will also go towards that. And if we go down the line a little bit, he's going to be doing some brushing at the tower line. There's a little bit of paving between the Chalk River Fire Hall and where the drying rack is. They drag those hoses through dirt, so there's going to be a little bit of paving done this year. New this year in the budget is the M&R fire response. That is a bill that we received this year for M&R's response to a fire that our fire department could not reach entirely to fight some of the fire that was in the woods. And the rescue truck has already been approved in a previous meeting of council, so we could go ahead and get that ordered. And that is his budget. He's
Okay.
slightly over from last year, but again, the training area is a carryover project.
Yes. Okay. Anybody have any questions on that? Okay, thank you very much. Moving on to Public Works.
So if
Page
we
number?
start with the list of items that the Public Works Superintendent has supplied council with, and I'll turn that over to the superintendent, and then we can review his department entirely.
Okay, so if we start at the top, you'll see we have signs needed for this year, culverts needed for this year, catch basins and risers. We're going to be repaving all around the post office in Chalk River, so that number's high just due to there's all concrete catch basins and stuff there. And then moving down to vehicles and repairs, we have we're set to replace one of the half tons with a new 3/4 ton pickup. And then with one of the other trucks, we're looking at getting the box painted. And then if we move down, we got calcium, which is the same every year. Our winter sand will be a little bit lower than this year. We still do have some stock, and the spring's looking pretty good for us. Office equipment, shop supplies is the same. Training courses, the only thing we really need in there is first aid. We need to be updated on that, and then a pit course that was a carryover from last year as well. Yep.
What year is that Dodge that you're replacing?
That's a 2008.
2008. Okay, thank you.
I believe the price is later on. Yeah. Sorry, we'll get to it. And then the cost for rental equipment. That stuff right now, like we have 2 dump trucks rented, we have belly dumps rented, packers, excavators, whatever else through the year. So that's just a broad number for everything that we'd rent all year, basically.
So Scott, is that number based on, previous?
Yeah,
years'
that's
experience?
basically what we based it on the last 2 years. We kind of take a number out of that.
Okay, thank you.
And for buildings, we have some repairs to do over at our Point Alexander garage, which is a carryover from last year as well. And then some work to do at the main office here with some soffit and fascia and eave troughs. And then we're looking at some gating, some fencing and gates for our dome in Point Alexander here, just to keep people out. It's sort of turned into a bit of a dumping site for everyone up there, so it'd just be nice to close it off. For equipment, we have a new steamer unit. We purchased a new one last year. Both of our old ones were of the same era, so it turns out our other older one this year sprung a leak as well. We're still using it, but we'll definitely need to purchase a new one, so we have 2 newer ones. Plate compactor just for culvert work, brush work, all that. New brusher head. This is a single blade cutter. Now I know the Skidoo Club just purchased one as well. It's a multi-blade cutter. I've heard mixed reviews. Basically they're the same cost for the unit that bolts onto our brusher head. So this number would basically buy us either one. They're looking at, it was winter obviously, but we're going to try and go and watch some, see a demo on them and see which one is better for us. But basically these ones aren't going to pull the wood. They're going to cut the wood and then we manually put it in our chipper. You're not going to get those jagged edges everywhere. So that's what that's for. And then
Before we move on, Scott, so you haven't seen the multi-head one in use yet?
No,
Okay.
no. They were going to demo it the one day and then it wasn't hooked up. It turned out the day that we were going to go look at it, they were still trying to fabricate something. So,
Okay, thank you.
But yeah, I'm looking at watching the demo of that one and then also going to watch the demo of this single blade one. And then there's the price for the new truck and to have it switched over, to switch over some controls and that to mount to the plow and stuff that we existing have. So paved roads, most of that stuff is normal every year cost, shouldering repairs, edgers, crack repairs, Chalk River throughout the village. And then we have Peter Street, Albert Street, all around the post office. Some of that stuff was sort of budgeted last year, and then we only got Elizabeth done, which we got done late in the year, which we still have to fix some driveways and stuff there as well. And then the section for Kevin, which was put in his budget. Service treated areas. This is basically to preserve with what we have. So Hunts Road, Top Coat, Rolfton, Goodsman Road, Lance Road, and then doing some repairs on some broken shoulders and stuff throughout the Wiley and in the village. Gravel roads, that's just typical. We hire trucks, spread some gravel, compact, and then our calcium and stuff goes on top. Yep.
So with the surface treatment, and I know it's come up before, but you've never considered doing that little stretch off of Millyard Road? No, it's not something that you're considering, that little stretch there?
Not at this
Not
time.
okay.
No. Then we're down to street sweeping. I have some money in there to contract it out last year. We were a little bit shy last year and he didn't quite get everything done. So we bumped that number up a little bit. We do what we can with construction work with our sweeper, but it's no longer, it's not feasible to operate. Those guys we have to try and book as soon as we can just to get us fit into a slot for the sweeping.
Scott, this street sweeping, I noticed there's quite a vacuum on that sweeper, and it drew up some of the surface treatment areas. Is there any way of controlling that, or is it pretty well?
There is, and it just kind of got away on them, and those spots that were damaged were going to get repaired this year. That's already been budgeted for, but there is a way. He just needs to stay on it a little more.
Okay, thank you.
We have some money in there for stone blasting. We had some money in there last year. We didn't end up getting it done. This is just rocks that keep coming up right on our shoulders edges. Our plow wings are hitting them. They're hard to mow the grass and everything else there. Roads, topsoiling, hydro seeding for any ditching areas we do. And then we're down to our seasonal employee and our summer students.
How many students do you plan on hiring?
Hoping for 2.
2?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
On your section of roads, paved roads, Scott, has any, you don't know when the plans are for doing, is it Joseph Street? I think it is. It's starting to get a little bit tattered. Is it Joseph? Yeah, Joseph Street. Anyways, I know you have that plan in place, and you might want to take a look at it, and because I do know that it's starting to getting pretty rugged. I've had a number of people concerned about that, and we walk it quite a bit. So,
okay.
Anyways, if you wouldn't mind taking a look at that too.
Can do. Under recreation, we'd have a set of forks for the small tractor, a new 0-turn lawnmower, and then a bunch of weed eaters. Service stuff for that.
So did we not just buy a 0-turn lawnmower? Would this be an additional one, or am I?
No, we had bought a normal ride-on mower, and we had purchased a 4-wheel drive tractor, a little tractor last year.
So we don't have a 0-turn lawnmower now?
We do. It's about 10 years old at the moment, and the engine blew up on it last year, and they don't even make the model of motor to go back in that one anymore. So basically we're buying the exact same mower, but a new one, and then we'll keep our old one for parts.
Okay.
Scott, how's that small tractor faring out?
It works perfect.
Good.
It's really good.
Okay, good to hear.
Yeah. Some work we have to do at the parks. We have the Mountain View. We're looking at repainting some of the building there, and then the add-on. We got the old timer with some lights hooked up, but we're going to add a push button like the other 2 rinks, so the lights aren't on if no one's there. Point Alexander, we have some racking to go in for the lending hub items, and then board replacement and repairs, the doors and stuff. The Chalk River Rink.
Before you move on, the Point Alexander board and repairs and painting, are they sort of reaching close to the end of their life, or are they good for a few more years yet?
It's getting there. We'll probably get another 2, maybe 3 years out of some repairs, and then we're going to have to look at redoing.
Okay, thanks.
The Chalk River rink is to finish installing the basketball nets, finish some fencing. And then we had that small water issue with some piping. We're going to repair that. And then some flooding, some racking for the flooding hoses. Chalk River ball field, it's the annual work that we're going to be doing there. We contract out. We have a memorial bench in there to have on hand. And Crossan Park, we're looking at removing some old structures that don't pass safety inspection anymore, and replacing them with 2 new structures, which are going to be a bit larger, with an additional structure, and putting more wood chip and stuff in there and doing some more landscaping work.
That's good to hear, because that it's a very well used park, and it's nice to see it upgraded and make sure the kids stay safe too. Thanks.
And then, sorry, go ahead.
While you're on that with Ann Crossing, what do you think your plans are for the gazebo and the book tree? There's been some vandalism there.
I'm not sure what to do. That's part of the library that has the book tree. I'm not
Yeah.
sure what their plans are for that.
I think they depend on you though to do the repairs to it, don't they? Depend on Public Works.
Yeah,
Is this something I should
We
maybe bring up at the, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, we'd removed any of the doors and stuff that were broken off. I'm not sure where we go from there. Everything was removed because it wasn't being used. And then with COVID, you couldn't use it. So there was no books
Exactly,
or
yeah.
anything in it anyways. Everything was molded. So right now it's not being used. I'm not sure what their plan is going forward with that.
Okay, perhaps I'll bring it to the agenda for the next library board meeting, and then I can report back on that at some point. It would be a very small cost anyway, so I'm sure you could absorb it somehow if it was
Yeah.
asked for. Okay.
Work at Goodsman Park, that was a carryover from last year that we didn't end up getting around to. That was to dig it out, put some new basketball nets, some new benches, put some wood chip there. We did end up purchasing new toddler seats and stuff to go in there last year. We just didn't get around to, by the time they showed up with the shipping and everything, it was fall and there was snow on the ground.
So with COVID, Scott, do you anticipate time restraints with ordering any of this playground equipment?
With certain things in plastics, the playground stuff, they told me there's a hold on plastics, and some of the items are 6 to 8 weeks to get built. So there is going to be a restraint on some of those things.
Okay, so the sooner we can get this through and approved, the better that you can order things.
No, that's not bad right now, but once everyone starts ordering stuff, once
Yeah.
spring comes, that's probably going to get pushed a lot later, which is going to change our timelines as well.
So as Anna said, as soon as we approve the budget, it might be good to order it right away.
Good to see that you're going to be doing a little bit of work in Goodsman Park, because at one point in time there was about 30 children living down there, and then dropped to 0, and now there's a few families in there with children, so it'll be greatly appreciated, that's for sure. Thanks. Go on the next page, Scott. There's a diagram here of the play area. Is that the one that you're looking at to have installed at Ann Crossing Park? That one?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
So there's a play structure and then 2 climbing.
Oh, okay. Very nice. I think the children will really enjoy that.
Yeah, I think they're really nice choices, Scott.
Okay.
Something for all age groups.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I get caught up in the rungs though at the belly. Yeah. Okay. So Scott, before we go, the only question I had was on the replacement of the truck. Is that the normal price now for a 3/4 ton?
Unfortunately, it is.
I kind of thought you were going to say that.
Yeah, unfortunately it is. I seeked out and got some prices from Chev, Ford and Dodge, and they're all in that ballpark. It's unfortunately for a 3/4 ton that's outfitted. That's
Well, and you're better off with the 3/4 ton anyways, because of the the type of work that you do.
Well, and to haul around the chipper, you can't put it on a 1/2 ton truck.
No.
It's too heavy. So you need a 3/4 ton truck
Yeah.
for that.
And some of the loads that you carry too, just,
Yeah.
the coal patch and things like that. So, okay. That's all I have for that. Do we want to go through the remainder of the items with, yeah, we'll go through his department. Absolutely. On page,
So we're on page 7 of the Public Works Department. So the first 7 lines are salaries and our 2 summer students and a part-time man that we hire for a 6-month period, plus payroll costs and pension costs. We have a small amount in for memberships fees. There's some office supplies, utilities. Again, you'll see that there's an increase there because our Public Works building in Chalk River is gas. We have communications is on par with last year. Overtime meals is budgeted about the same. So the rentals combined in that line item is the regular rentals that Scott does for the trucks every year, plus the contract for the sweeper. That's why you see that that's increased. Insurance is up slightly in all departments. We have our licensing fees. We have our culverts that is standard. You'll see vehicle operations is increased again for carbon tax. We have our repairs. They're kind of online with last year. They have been down, and I think we can attribute that to the new equipment that we've purchased over the last couple of years. Purchase 296. What did we put there?
Terry, before we move on, just a question with Scott. It's good to see that the maintenance costs have gone down considerably. Are we keeping the maintenance up fairly well on, especially I'm thinking of the heavy equipment, like the greasing and things like that, because I know that's so important, especially for heavy equipment.
Yeah, we got lucky and we did fairly well last year. We were very well for maintenance that wise, but we didn't have many big breakdowns as normally in the past. And we're doing well that way.
So line item 296 is where we left off, and that reflects the new brusher head and the plate compactor that the Public Works Superintendent went over in his budget. Shop supplies is fairly close to last year's and include the items that he outlined that is over and above what regular supplies are. Building maintenance. And we have cold patch, calcium, our winter sand, our signs. Those are our 911, and I believe you are purchasing new signs for the parks.
Yeah.
We have a little bit of training budgeted for the hydro and topsoil, the hydro seeding and topsoil, the stone blasting, all the road work that is planned for this year. The figures are in there. And a radar speed sign. Last year we budgeted for it. And it is in this year's budget. And I believe you've been getting pricing on that.
Yes, I do have the pricing on that. And then you were asking to get a price on a trailer unit as well. So we do have those prices. About $5,000 more to have a trailer mounted unit that's solar operated with batteries on hand. So basically that's just the option we want to go. Either we have one that pins to a sign and we have different brackets that we move around the village, or we have the trailer one where we just put wherever we want.
I think we should just go for the whole thing and get the trailer as well.
Agreed.
Yeah.
It makes it so much easier.
I
Like,
agree.
you know,
And then you've
even-
got the extra battery you said, or
Yeah, it's
Charger, whatever, it's
solar
right there,
charger,
yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
complete unit.
Like
So-
even from a safety standpoint, it's
Mhm.
probably much easier to keep
I
having
agree.
on a trailer and you just hitch on the back and away you go.
Okay.
And minimize any issues with regards to safety.
So line 322 is for the gates that will be going up at the dome. And we move down to some line painting that's budgeted for the steamer unit, and we finish off the budget. Although it's one of our largest departments, it is still under what we spent last year.
Back up at the top, under the utilities, it sure dropped. Is that the new building in Chalk switching to natural gas? Like in 2018, it was 28,000, 2019, right down to 22 for utilities. Is that the heat cost? Did we save that much? Well, it is, it's crazy. That's good. I was just curious if that's what it was, just switching to natural gas. Perfect.
So that's the Public Works Department, and are there any questions?
Anybody have any further
No,
questions
it's a
on
good
that?
budget.
Okay, good budget, Scott. I don't think we'll have any issues or concerns here. Okay, Sherry, are we going back to page 1? Carry on. Thank you very much, Scott.
So starting on page 1 to 3 is where we receive our revenues from. And page 1 is our taxation and our payment in lieu of taxes. And we're just dealing with the municipal portion. We don't have the county's bylaw for their set rates or the school boards yet. So we're just doing the municipal portion of the budget. Page 2 shows various income from us or that we get from other sources. And that includes our OMPF, our gas tax, any COVID-19. This year, we are receiving an additional $30,000 in funding on top of the 90 that we received last year. We have a small amount that we receive in a grant every year for the public works student. And we have a fire agreement with the neighboring municipality. We receive money from MTO and M&R. Small amount for one kennel that is in our municipality. And then down under environment shows what we bring in from Stewardship Ontario, the sale of recycling boxes, landfill fees, bag tags, and we want to discuss a line item here, this administration for water and sewer.
What line are you on now?
We're on line item 91.
Okay.
So that in the past has been collected and charged back to the people that are the users of the water and sewer treatment plants. We would like to reduce that amount. We've kind of taken a look at it and audited to what the actual costs, what we think the actual costs are. And we don't want to account for staff time because we don't account for staff time when we do financial statements for NORLOB or the library. And I don't think we should account for staff time for the billing of that goes out for the water and sewer plant. So we think $5,000 is more appropriate, and that covers the actual costs for purchasing the bills that we send out and the postage to send them out.
Okay.
So we would like to change that to 5,000. And in your water and sewer budget, I have changed that. I didn't change it here until I got agreement from council on that.
Everybody okay with that?
Well, you won't get any argument
Okay.
here. I think your residents will be happy about that.
5,000 it is,
Yeah, good job.
holding you to it.
So page 3 is additional revenue that we receive in penalty and interest for the issuing of tax certificates, compliance certificates, interest at the bank. And as the auditor had indicated, our interest is down significantly from previous years. And in the planning department, our building fees, we've budgeted that we will stay on par with last year. Minor variance fees, we already know that we've had 2 minor variants granted. So that is the fee there reflective of that. building permit development fees that are included when a building permit is issued. We have some miscellaneous income from Rogers Tower Rental. The Memorial Bench program, we've put a little bit in there. We do have this $1,300 grant that was given to us from the county earlier in the year, and that is COVID related. And if we move down, transferring anything from our reserves, the modernization fund, we are transferring to complete those programs that we identified last year. We'll transfer out of that, an additional $5,000 out of the COVID fund, just for PP&E for the rest of the year that we feel we will spend. And you'll see your surplus from last year is on the next line item, and that is our revenues that we receive from the various sources. Page 4 shows us where we spend the money. So the first section is council and council honorarium, payroll costs. We've put a small amount in there for membership fees and conferences. If anything does open up later in the year, council has always stuck within Renfrew County and partnered with neighboring municipalities for training. So we've left a little bit of money in there. Virtual meetings, there is a cost to them. So we've budgeted for that. The Integrity Commissioner is budgeted higher this year, just based on previous experience of what the costing has been. General government is our salaries, WSIB, OMERS, payroll costs. There is really everything in general government is basically on par with last year for supplies, for our computer programs, for upgrades, for our utilities, communications, repair and maintenance is very low, building maintenance is on par with last year. Our service rental contracts for IT assistance, etc. Our auditor figure is in there. Insurance, again, slightly up like every department. Legal fees. COVID-19 is the expenditures, the $5,000 that we're taking out of the reserves, plus the communications upgrades that we had to put in place. Bank charges, we anticipate that they'll be slightly higher this year. We are ordering some filing cabinets and some racking systems to try to make some more room. Our PSAP contract, that is yearly. Strategic plan and website. So the website is, our website we were having problems with, and we needed to move where it was hosted over to a different server that was a faster server. And I don't know if anybody's been on the website. We included the accessibility link, and we've refreshed it a little bit. So that's the small amount there. Computer software upgrades, and we are slightly higher this year, but we also is the department that has the legal fees and integrity commissioner. So our taxation.
Sherry, before you move on, the software upgrades that you've done so far, has that shown improvements in the overall
Yes.
program? Because I know when you were switching over from an old, I forget.
It was a DOS-based system.
DOS-based system to whatever, you really noticed a substantial.
It has been really good, and we are able to produce reports that we weren't able to before. So the auditor could do a little bit of pre-work remotely. Tammy was very good working with him and sent him quite a substantial number of reports prior to him having to be on site.
Okay, good. Glad to hear.
So general government projects, these are a carryover from last year with a new item for a building design. Council is aware our building is very old and we need a new public works building in Point Alexander. So I've put this figure in there. We don't have a confirmed costing yet. Is council okay to go with our engineer of record for that drawing? And maybe at a committee meeting coming up, we can all sit down and decide what it is we need for a building.
Yep, I'm okay with that. Everybody else?
Okay.
Go ahead.
So we're on page 5. These are expenses that we have every year. OPP costing, our OPP costing is down. We are part of the community wellness plan with Laurentian Valley, the city of Pembroke, Deep River, and Petawawa. So that cost is in there. And our planning department, you'll see that we have payroll costs and conference membership development fees, communications, and there is one line item that will change, and that is for a conference. So we haven't been sending our employees out of Renfrew County for training, and this is on a wish list, and if council is in agreement, we will take that out.
Yeah.
Economic development, there's just small amounts in there. We purchase flags every year, our municipal flag and the Canadian flag. We move to page 8. These are fixed.
Sherry, before you move on,
Sure.
under animal control, I'm just wondering if we should put some additional funding in there with regards to reviewing the animal control.
So we are bringing that back to council in a few months' time
Okay.
for further discussion after we've researched it a little
okay,
bit more.
I just don't want to lose it. That's all.
Yeah. So on page 8 is our landfill. These are fixed costs for the contracts that we have in place for garbage pickup, for recycling. The Norlob contract, I understand that may change a little bit. They had a set budget, but they amended it to add an additional item at their last meeting. So our costs will go up, not significantly, maybe $125 there. Our OCIF funding and our turnaround here, we still are undecided with the turnaround, the work that needs to be done to close that turnaround. The barricades are still up and we need to do ditching and we need a plan for MTO before we can permanently close it.
Okay.
So we have post landfill closure costs for monitoring for Buchanan landfill and the Bass Lake landfill. We have some fees in there for our tax collection. And this year, I am asking council to consider our OCIF funding be diverted to the baffling that is required at the water sewer plant. On top of we pay for our utilities as a user, it's $14,972. So on top of that, I'm asking council to direct the OCIF funding to add baffling at the sewer plant.
Everybody okay with that? Okay. Make that change.
So the airport, those are as a partner, that is our share that we pay every year. We've included some mileage. We're not sure what the rest of the year is going to look like for the mayor traveling back and forth. Culture, you'll see for the library, as with every department last year, there was savings in the library budget. So they're requiring less money with their carryover from last year, which is excellent to see. We heard from the Public Works Superintendent what he planned for recreation. So to spend the money that we need from our general budget into our recreation budget is $157,000. And you'll see that when we review the recreation budget, that is there as revenues. So page 9. Council does various donations throughout the year and they are all listed. I'm guessing that we want to go through with the same donations that we have in the past.
I'm in favor of that. Especially this year being a COVID year, the last year and the lack of revenue that some of these places have had and
Okay.
Everybody's okay?
We have our physician recruitment costs. And the next line items from line 380 to 383, we can take out for the nursery school if it is not opening again this year. And I think what I've heard from council previously is that it would not open again this year.
Doesn't appear that way.
So we won't incur those expenses and we'll bring back with the next draft, those
Okay.
changes.
Ann? Some question?
Yeah, so the doctor recruitment. I noticed that the actual 2020. Did we increase that last year as well? I thought we only increased it for this year's.
No, you committed
Was it
to
a full
3
year?
years.
Okay. And this is what they had requested, the,
This was, I believe, the
Additional, yeah.
chair of the Deep River Hospital Foundation came and
Yes, yeah.
presented that.
but that was a full year already.
Yeah.
Does- Okay, thank you.
So
Very
the
good.
next few items, except the utilities, we will also adjust to come out. They will no longer be needed if the nursery school is not to open this fall. I said, with the exception of utilities.
Oh,
And provisions to reserves. With this budget, we have budgeted, as in past years, to provide for reserves. And our provision to the facilities reserve is increasing that, I think, within the next year, so that we will be able to pay outright for a new building. We're going to look for a grant because that's always desired, but
Yeah.
we may be able to maneuver that if it's determined that the building is no longer sustainable.
Okay.
So page 9 is the recreation budget. So you'll see the surplus from last year is at the top. The municipal contribution to achieve everything that the Public Works Superintendent outlined in his budget is 157,000. And then the expenditures that the Public Works Superintendent went over are all listed there with the addition of the utilities. And it comes in probably pretty close to last year. Is there any questions on the
Any
recreation budget?
questions? Brenda?
for the line 30, that amount there, should that not be on the line below that for Ann Crossan?
It should be down one line with
just noticing that
the,
now.
with the structures. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Any other questions? Any other questions? Okay, continue on, please.
So page 11 is the water and sewer budget. And at the top, you see the billings that come in. You see the OCIF funding that we're going to use for the baffling and the town's contribution to the facilities that we own as a user. We get a small amount for people that fill up their pools in the summertime. And you see water and sewer penalty, and we have a tiny amount of reserve from last year or surplus from last year in this budget. So it shows the total budgeted amount. And then we have our expenditures. And that the biggest part of the expenditures is for our contract for the operations of both plants. We have some equipment purchases, some small repairs. They're all in line with last year. And that is the end of my budget.
So Sherry, with regards to the water and sewers, any of the issues that we received in the reports, those are included into the repairs to this year?
We include those every year, and we relay that they have been approved expenditures.
Okay,
They seem to get carried over for whatever reason, but
okay, thank you.
so I would just like to say that the budget is complete as proposed with no increase in the tax rate. And there is no increase in the water and sewer rate.
That's excellent. I'm sure our taxpayers are going to be very pleased about that. Anybody have any questions, further questions about the budget? Ann?
For the provision to reserves, so there's a line there that for provisions to reserves regarding landfill. So we've been putting money aside for the closure of Buchanan and Bass.
No, that is for Bags Road.
It is only for
The
Bags
other
Road.
two landfills have been closed.
Yeah.
We just have to monitor them,
Okay, so the money that's there is just for the
just for the
future-
post landfill
closing.
closure costs for Bags Road.
Perfect. Okay, thank you.
Oh, any other questions? Well, I think we got ourselves a pretty darn good budget this year. Good work, girls. Thank you very much you made it nice and clear and concise for us again. And I guess we'll make those minor changes and then we'll be ready to sign it off. Now, there's a couple of items that we were going to move forward with. And we've already discussed those before, so and they're all in the package, so
So your worship, if we could go back to page 9
okay.
at the very bottom, there is $44,000 that is unallocated funds. Typically in the past, when we have accomplished our budget and everything in it, we have put that into general government in unallocated funds.
Yes,
For expenditures such as last year when our rooftop unit went.
Yep.
For those unknowns and unbudgeted items, are we able to do that again once we make the adjustments to the budgets as discussed and put that in unallocated funds?
council okay with that? Okay, let's put it there.
Thank you.
Mhm. Okay, anything else? Good job, everybody. I guess that concludes. So moved by Andrew Didi, seconded by Brenda Blipke. Be it hereby resolved that the special meeting of council of the town of Laurentian Hills do now adjourn at 1:49 PM. All in favor? And carried. And thank